It is Wednesday, April 24th. The time is 6 p.m. If I could ask everyone to please stand, I'm going to ask Mayor Bublak to please lead us in the pledge.
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Going to move on to introduction of commission and staff, starting to my left.
Amy Bublak, city member.
Terry Withrow, county member.
Ken Lane, public member.
Vito Chiesa, county member.
Richard O'Brien, city member.
Sarah Lytle-Penny, executive officer.
Sean Whitehead, county council.
Jennifer Vieira, commission clerk.
Perfect. Thank you all. Now we're going to move on to this item 2, public comment period and opportunity to speak on anything that is not on today's posted agenda. Keep your comments to 3 minutes, please. And this board can't take action on anything that's not on today's posted agenda. And the first speaker card I have is Milt Treeweiler. Welcome, Milt.
Welcome. Thank you, commissioners. Yes, Milt Treeweiler.
Now you get to start. You got a full 3.
I'm a lifetime Stanislaus County citizen, and I want to just let you know about a national survey last year and what people feared the most in the United States. Number 1 was corrupt government. Number 2 was an economic or financial collapse. And number 3 was Russia using nuclear weapons. I've observed meetings now over the past 10 years, hundreds of meetings. Council meetings, board meetings, commission meetings, planning commission meetings, hundreds of meetings. And I have to tell you, our country, or our county, is becoming more and more like Russia and China all the time. The people are losing their voice. For example, this commission's purpose is to save farmland. Yet some of you on this commission are closely associated with the Building Industry Association. That's a conflict of interest. We must have food to stay alive. That's a fact and reality. Without food for 10 or 15 days, you're dead. It would be irresponsible to develop this Riverwalk project. We know our children and our descendants would suffer. We're educated people, and we know we can't survive without food. There's not 1 acre of farmland in some entire states and even countries as good as the farmland northwest of Riverbank. This farmland can grow food to feed us for hundreds of years. There's an abundance of poor soils in Stanislaus County for the developers to build houses on, like the areas west of Interstate 5 and the areas east of Oakdale and northwest of Patterson. It's startling to realize that the Board of Supervisors has allowed Stanislaus County to be advertised on the county website with the following words, quote, Stanislaus County makes up the Modesto Metropolitan Statistical Area. The county is located just east of the San Francisco Bay Area and serves as a bedroom community for those who work in the eastern part of the Bay Area. Later in the website it states, as the price of housing has increased in the San Francisco Bay Area, many people who work in the southern reaches of the Bay Area have opted for a longer commute and have moved to Stanislaus County for relatively affordable housing. This is bad. This is terrible. This is the best farmland in the world. What are we thinking of? And at the little bit under economy in the same setup article, you can see it. It's on your website. Well, not your website. A couple of your websites. And in another heading under economy, it just has in small print, agriculture is Stanislaus County's #1 industry, and almonds being the primary agricultural product. We know we can grow 230 crops here, and we're just talking about 1 crop. This is ludicrous. This is bad. This has got to be changed. There's got to be some change here in this county. Thank you.
Thanks, Mel. Next up, we have Karen Conoroto. Conoroto, that's the way you're supposed to say it in Italian, right? Conoroto.
Yep, that's what I was told. Hi, my name is Karen Conrado. I live on Hogue Road, Modesto. Good evening for the chair, vice chair, and the planning commission members. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you tonight. I'm here to let you know of my concerns with the proposed Riverwalk project. I am hoping it is stopped by the City Council in Riverbank and don't need to come. It doesn't need to come before you. But in case it does, I wish to bring up points to be considered now to be prepared for the future. This project is being planned in the wrong location. It is on prime ag land, adjacent to the Stanislaus River. It will encourage leapfrogging and urban sprawl. There are concerns with the infrastructure, including but not limited to traffic, water, sewer, garbage, pollution, noise, light, air, etc. There are concerns with the effect on wildlife, riparian habitat and wildlife corridors, and the potential for decreased quality of life for all of those affected by this unwanted proposed project that can be accommodated elsewhere in Riverbank. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Karen. Anyone else for public comment? Seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close the public comment period. Move on to item 3, correspondence. You have 3 correspondence in your packet.
There's no additional correspondence.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions on correspondence? Seeing none, move on to declarations of conflict of interest from left to right. No?
No.
No.
Nope. And Richard? None. None. All right. That's good. On to item 5, consent calendar. Any board member want to pull the item? Any public member want to comment on the items? Seeing none, bring it back for action.
Move to accept.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. On to the public hearing. Proposed LAFCO budget for fiscal year 2024-25. Sarah.
Yes. Tonight, the commission will be considering the proposed LAFCO budget for the new fiscal year. The proposed budget represents an overall increase of 9% over the current year's budget. This is primarily due to increases in salaries and benefits. Services and supplies is proposed to increase by about 5%. And you can see the current year as compared to the proposed here in this slide, and there's some additional percentages in your packet as well. So LAFCO staff receives the salaries and benefits that are consistent with the county employee designations. Accordingly, staff will receive a 3.5% cost of living increase in the new fiscal year. Health insurance costs have also increased, even affecting current calendar year. They've increased by as much as 15%, and we expect that for the new budget as well. Within the services and supplies category, there are various increases to costs for services that the county supplies, including IT services, building maintenance, payroll, et cetera. This year, we're also including an additional one-time expense for the county's IT department to assist us with an update to our file management system. The budget will include $10,000 of projected excess fund balance from the current year to be applied to offset agency contributions. These are the proposed reserves, and overall, these have also increased slightly just to maintain the appropriate levels that are in the Commission's policy. Here's the breakdown of how much each agency contributes towards LAFCO. The county always has responsibility for half of LAFCO's budget, with the remaining half being funded by the 9 cities, and that's proportionally divided based on the city's respective revenues as reported by, to the state controller. Just for the upcoming year, you can see that just between the county and City of Modesto, they'll be covering nearly 79% of LAFCO's budget. And then the other cities have a much smaller share. And I tend to show this one every year as well. This is showing the trend line for LAFCO's budget, also giving a forecast for next year. That sharp increase that you see was primarily due to the reclassification that occurred for salaries for LAFCO staff to bring them more in line with the comparison counties. So you can see the adopted, the proposed, and then also the forecasted. And that gap in between the blue and orange line there, between LAFCO's operating budget and agency contributions, that represents the fund balance that we return back every year, the excess fund balance, to offset those agency contributions. So agency contributions always end up being slightly less than the full LAFCO operating budget. In terms of our work program and application activity, the commission approved the work program earlier this year, and staff has already begun working on it. That represents a lot of our work on municipal service reviews, which are referred to as MSRs up there. We've also begun work on a policies and procedures update. Pre-application activity, including that for annexations and especially district applications, has remained steady. And we have estimates for revenues conservatively set at $20,000. Likely will go above that. If they do go above that, that always gets factored into the next year's budget. So even in the current year, we've already gone above our estimate, and that's being factored into the proposed budget. So staff's recommendation is that you conduct the public hearing, adopt resolution 2024-05 approving the proposed budget, and then schedule a public hearing for May 22nd, 2024 for consideration of the final budget. And I'm available if you have any questions.
Are there any questions of Sarah? Pretty straightforward. So I guess the one thing on the cap charges, we always talk about them in the county. I've heard lots of our departments complaining about the cap charges. I haven't heard you complain about it, but I know that it continues to go up. Liability insurance, it's made up of things that overhead, keeping the lights on, HR, county council, although that's county council to keep the county running. There are certain components of it, as well as liability insurance, which is a huge driver. And liability insurance has gone absolutely berserk. I don't know if you've seen that in your cities, but if you chase it down, I think we had a budget briefing, and in the last 5 years, ours went from $4 million as a base allocation, and it's up to $18 million in this projected budget. So and that's spread out amongst all the departments and ancillary, animal shelter, LAFCO, obviously the 911, that there's county employees. So that's hitting a lot of departments, and that's essentially the cost of doing business, which really isn't fun. But we've kept costs basically in check beyond that. That's really the driver behind all of this, which I'm very proud of. So if there's no questions for us, I'm going to go ahead and open up the public hearing.
Yes, Milt Treeweiler. I did have a question for Sarah. You had a very good presentation. It was very clear, but I didn't quite understand the 9% increase this year, and the trend is going up, and this year's is attributed to staff salary. So what are the other years? I mean, does it go up 9? Your wages aren't increasing every year, are they? If they are, it's okay, but I mean, are they? So I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead and finish.
So that was one of my questions. And then the refund, I didn't understand that either. So the cities get their amount back that's over what was paid that was needed? Is that correct?
Not entirely. So I'll answer that one first. If in a given year, let's say, as in this year, we get a large annexation application from, this year was the city of Patterson. That application ended up contributing much more than we expected in revenue. And we're not allowed to, essentially, we're not allowed to collect that revenue and keep it as a profit. We have to give that back, and we divide it up amongst the rest of the funding agencies in the next year. So it's considered an excess revenue. Anything above that $20,000 application revenue that we receive is in excess. And for the cities, the other cities getting it back, it's fair to them because, in that particular year, like in this past year, we spent a lot of time just working on Patterson. So the other cities kind of get credited back for that staff time where we were dedicated to a Patterson application. Sort of a fairness check.
And the 9%?
On the 9%, so as part of LAFCO employees being in the county's system, we do have a salary schedule, a range. And so every year we're subject to performance evaluations and review where we may be able to get a 5%, we may be able to move to the next step in that range. And I'll say for many years prior to that reclassification, at least 2 of our employees were maxed out on that range, so our salaries were just stagnant and only receiving cost of living whenever the cost of living increases were granted. So as a result of that reclassification, now that 2 of us are back in a salary scale or a range, that's where you can see the potential for us getting a 5% step increase. So that has to be factored in.
So to move a step, you need a minimum 5%. It's generally around 5% in a step.
Yep.
Steps are earned based on either years of service or performance evaluations,
Right.
or skill level.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing. Bring it back to the board.
Motion to
Thoughts?
approve staff recommendations.
Second. Excuse me, second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you very much. Other business, we have none. Commissioner comments, left to right again? None. Okay. And additional matters at the discretion of the chairperson, which there are none. Executive Director report.
Yeah, just wanted to quickly note that Sean Wahid was recently assigned as LAFCO's legal counsel, and we look forward to working with him. He was previously the backup, so we did see him at a meeting, but now you'll be seeing him full-time as not full-time, but as LAFCO's counsel at our next meetings. The next meeting is scheduled for May 22nd, and the commission will consider the final budget at that meeting, as well as a performance review of the executive officer. We're also expecting a service extension application from the city of Turlock that will hopefully make that meeting, but if not, we'll put it on the next one, but we know it's coming. And that's all I have.
That is perfect. Okay. If there's nothing else for the good of the order, the next meeting is May 22nd, and this meeting is adjourned at 6:18.